All right, so I started the recording.
Perfect.
So we're almost at 5 minutes out.
Welcome back, Xavier.
Sorry, it's the first time this happened since the lockdown, but my Wi-Fi just interrupted, just dropped. So I have my phone with me, and I'll just hotspot it if that happens again.
Cool. Alrighty. So just to let you know, I will put questions in the chat if that's okay. I shouldn't. Don't look at Slack until Q&A, but there may be some messages there. You can mute it, and if you're having troubles, you could message there though.
Excellent, Xavier, you're muted. We will unmute you.
Dis-le en anglais, if you're interested joining the formaton or if you're interested to join the formaton?
Both, to join. Joining.
Okay, thank you.
So nobody joined yet, no attendees so far.
All right, I'm gonna start broadcast so people will be able to get in.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. We'll wait a couple more minutes before official starting the session. Okay, so while people are joining, we'll launch a poll to keep the session interactive. We would like to know what is your background and also where are you from? Great, thank you for filling that in. So we'll start in 3, 2, 1. Hello, FinTech community. For those returning, welcome back to another edition of our university series. And for our new attendees, this is part 5 of 9 weekly sessions happening every Thursday at 4 p.m. My name is Marina, and I will be a moderator for this event. But I'm joined by our dynamic team at FinTech Cadence. We have with us Neil Heath, Business Development Associate, as well as Pascal Van Vinendal, Community Outreach and responsible for this series. Please note that we're recording this series, this session, so if you prefer not to be seen, you can keep your camera off or change your name so it will be not displayed in Zoom. If you'd like to keep the conversation going on social platforms, feel free to share and tag us at FinTech Cadence. Tonight's hashtags are UNI Series and FinTech 101. Our topic today is Managing Risk, the new face of insurance, where we explore the InsurTech with the direct focus on the home insurance market, as well as the current and future trends in the InsurTech ecosystem. Our guest speaker is Xavier Freeman, co-founder and CEO at Seths. To help to get the audience better, please let us know why you're participating in the university series tonight. So we'll have a poll launching immediately. Thank you, guys. I would like to mention that we couldn't do this without the support of our university club partners and our ever-growing community across Canada. So if you'd like to find more about these co-hosts, please check out our Facebook event page. Moving next, I would like to let you know that our webinar today will be approximately 1 hour. A quick introduction of FinTech Cadence will be followed by a 30-35 minutes panel with our guest speaker, and we will have time for your questions after the talk. For those that don't know us, we are FinTech Cadence, a nonprofit incubator located in the heart of Montreal. And our focus is building FinTech products that create value for Canadians by developing the future FinTech leaders. We do that through our 3 pillars: educating FinTech talent, supporting early stage startups, and collaborating with financial institutions to help solve industry challenges. Our flagship program is the Formaton, that is designed to address real FinTech challenges. The Formaton program is Canada's biggest FinTech competition, and it is taking place as of March 28th. And this year, it's 100% virtual and online. You'll have the chance to explore the FinTech ecosystem over the course of the 3 weeks. If you are new to entrepreneurship, this is a great way to learn about launching a new product, user experience testing, validating a business thesis, rapid prototyping, and pitching a winning solutions to senior members of companies who presented the challenges. The program is created to be accessible for all levels, from students to professionals. It begins, as I mentioned, on May 28th and takes place during Wednesday evenings as well as Sundays. So, sorry, I said Sundays, it's actually Saturdays. So it's really easy to attend. And honestly, as we are all home right now, so it's there are no excuses. The competition is being split into 2 tracks. And for those who would like either to build a startup or validate industry challenge, or do research on a topic and be able to present your findings to stakeholders. Either way, FinTech Cadence will help and guide you through the whole process of design thinking and validation. Plus, to culminate with a demo day with prizes. That teams usually enjoy that. Let's have now a quick look at some of the challenges intended for this year. So you can see here we have how can we support Canadians in rebuilding their savings, how can we increase security in financial applications, or another one, how can we prepare Canadians to catch up and manage their student loans. So that was for the startup track, and now let's move next to the research track. How will the uptake of open banking be impacted by COVID-19? And the last one we propose, how can we support entities with managing, issuing, and tracking loans? For the audience here, I would like to do another poll right now, just for us to know after this information I presented, if any of you might be interested in doing the formaton, and also which are the challenges that seem appealing to you guys. Thank you all for answering these questions. And just FYI, my colleague Pascal will include the formaton link into the chat. So those of you that are interested could have more information. And now let's move to the main part of our webinar today. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing our guest speaker, Xavier Freeman, co-founder and CEO of AllSet. And for those of you that don't know AllSet, it's an insurtech that makes buying home insurance easy and efficient. Xavier, thank you for accepting our invitation and joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So I'll go directly into the subject. So could you please introduce yourself and tell us a bit of how you got involved into insurtech?
Okay, awesome, for sure. It's interesting because we're doing a university series, so I'll start from university and go onwards. So I actually studied at one of the your collaborators, the John Molson School of Business, so at Concordia University in finance, and then when I was a student at Concordia, I had the chance to take part into the co-op program there, where I started my career in finance at Scotiabank. So I had the chance to begin as a co-op student and then moved up the ranks. And then when I graduated university, I had the opportunity to move to a leadership role at Scotiabank in Toronto, where I was a director of sales for Quebec and Ontario for the credit card segment there. So that was pretty cool. And what really dragged me to financial services in general was I think it's an area that people often underestimate because it's not really the most appealing one to get involved with. But what I think is interesting is that it impacts everyone. Every person on this panel is using different financial services tools, and that's really what I thought was super interesting. Take a subject that's sometimes hard to understand or complicated or unappealing to some, and try to make it more interesting and simplify it. So I had the chance to do that at Scotiabank. It was a big company, so it was a bit harder to do things more my own way, let's say. So, but I had a big learning opportunity there, and I really loved my time. I knew I wanted to start my company. So one thing that I did after my time at Scotia was to join a fintech startup in Montreal, and I think that's something that I would recommend to people that are thinking about starting a company and know that they want to get involved in the tech and fintech ecosystem, to look out for job opportunities or internships at different fintech companies, because that's a great way to see what you like the most, what you don't like, and just kind of getting involved with the reality of a startup. And after my time where I was at that fintech startup, I was head of partnerships and marketing. I had a chance to learn a lot, and my main realization was that there was a lot of innovations within different segments of finance, of fintech, whereas wealth management, lending, savings, a lot of different startups were emerging, and I saw a big opportunity in the sense that there was a lack of innovation or players within the insurance space, which I was involved with at Scotiabank. So I decided to study a little bit more the field, and saw that there was a lot of innovators around the globe, and some projects or companies that were doing fairly well in Europe and Asia didn't necessarily have a presence in North America, and that's really where the idea for AllSet started. And I can talk a little bit more about AllSet after, but that was kind of the pre-AllSet. So what dragged me into starting this insurtech company. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for this very interesting introduction, as well for the great piece of advice for our attendees to try as much as possible while they're students and get involved in all kinds of programs to get a sense of what they would like doing, and also to get a lot of knowledge in the field. And now let's move to the AllSet part. Like, please, if you don't mind, introduce AllSet to us, and also let us know a bit more of the idea, though you already mentioned that, and also let us know how your background helped you. I noticed previously on your LinkedIn profile that you, besides your studies here in Canada, you also studied in Europe and in Hong Kong. So how this experience tied it all up to AllSet?
Yes, for sure. So so the idea, so really the idea for AllSet really came from looking at as I mentioned, the global space. Actually, two places where I had the chance to study, which were in Germany and in Hong Kong, are two countries where are parts of the world where there's a lot of insurtech innovation going on, and it's been going on for several years. And that's really where I realized that where North America was a little bit behind, and that was really cool to get that globalization aspect and seeing how other countries or other tech companies are innovating in a global perspective, and that's really where I decided to bring an insurtech solution to Canada through AllSet. One thing that I couldn't have done myself, because I had by myself, I had the more the business side and partnerships and marketing side from my previous work experience and sales as well. But one thing that was missing was really the tech component, and that's where actually I was really lucky to be introduced to Felipe Montero, who's our co-founder and CTO, who is a software engineer with a master's in computer engineering from Polytechnique, and about 10 years of software development experience. And when I had it was only at the idea stage, I was lucky enough to meet Felipe, who really brought more the the tech component that was missing. And that's one kind of a bit of an advice that I could, piece of advice that I could give is for the participants to this call that are looking to probably start a company later, is to really find someone that has a complementary skill set to yours. Because when I first started with Allset, I thought it was a great idea, but without having someone that can help you execute and that has a very complementary skill set. So trying to find someone that has strengths where you have weaknesses, so that you can tackle a challenge or a problem in the smartest way. That was something that was fairly lucky to have when we first started. And fast forward to 2019 with Allset, we did the first product launch after many months of R&D. And the first product that we launched in June 2019 was a home insurance product for tenants. And basically, what we wanted to do is we wanted to offer the most seamless, and that's really our mission at Allset, is to offer the most seamless online shopping experience for insurance. And looking at the whole insurance landscape, especially in property and casualty, which is basically home, auto, and business, there's a lot of different products out there. There's a lot of different customers out there. And for us, it was a matter of finding who is the target audience, who is the customer that we can serve the best. And a key area of opportunity for us was the tenant segment, because tenant insurance, and for those of you who don't know, tenant insurance basically covers you, your personal belongings. When you pay rent, you have clothes, electronics, furniture. So everything that you own, basically, where tenant insurance protects you against fire, theft, vandalism, water damages, and whatnot. And that's a key area where we decided to jump in, because 37% of tenants in Canada do not have insurance at this point. And it's one of the key areas where about 100% of people who drive a car have insurance, or they should be. And with the tenant landscape, we saw a big opportunity there. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And also thank you for letting us know about the percentage of the people here in Quebec that are being insured. I was wondering, like, I wanted to ask you that. Yeah, definitely. I guess that was a great way to test the market, to get into the business, test your technical possibilities, operations, and also test the market, sense the appetite for that, and see how the business goes.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. I will ask you one more question, and then for our attendees, I'm letting them know that at the end of this question, we'll have a new poll. So the question for you, Xavier, is could you please do an overview of the home insurance market, and what's the process right now for those that want to buy the home insurance? Like, I remember a couple of years ago when I became a homeowner myself, like that process, I can tell you, it was long and painful, and we were pretty much newbies in the field. So that gave us a lot of headache.
Yeah, and you're not the only one. There's a lot of our customers were facing similar challenges. And basically, where there's basically, and I'll take the market in the Canadian market. So there's basically two ways of getting home insurance for a consumer. It's either to go through an insurance company directly, such as, for example, Desjardins, Belair, La Capitale. So going directly with that insurance company is one option, and the other option is to go through a broker or a brokerage firm that has access to different products from different insurers. What we found that was that was lacking in the market is that when you go directly with a company, with an insurance company, what's great is that you can get access to a product fairly quickly. It's really fast. Most companies have an online platform where you can purchase that insurance product. What is lacking when you go directly to an insurance company is a bit of transparency. It's really hard to know if you're actually getting the right product for yourself, if you're if you're paying the right price, which we saw was one thing that was pretty much a priority for our customer base, is to know if they're paying. Are they paying too much? Are they getting a good deal for the protection that they need? And that was one key component, key problem from the going through an insurance company directly, that we aimed at solving. The second way of buying an insurance product is through insurance brokers or brokerages, where it's great because you don't have the same problem as going through it directly with an insurance company, because you get a bit more transparency about different prices, different insurance companies. But what happens is that the digital fulfillment of brokers is very limited, whereas most of the business is done over the phone. The processing time is a bit longer. So there's always that trade-off that you have to make in between getting an insurance product fast, buying directly with an insurance company, and actually getting a good price going through a broker. What we what we saw as a big opportunity is to bring what people like the most about going through an insurance company directly, and the choice, so the easiness of buying while being able to have more than one option. So what we built with Allset is pretty much a way to access the rates of 10 different insurance companies within 4 minutes, fully online, with the possibility to purchase directly with us, as we're licensed as a brokerage firm, and we're able to take care of selling the policy to you directly, and we're not redirecting you to another company. So that's really kind of the way we came up with a solution that was adapted to the reality of the market.
Perfect. So in that way, Allset managed to come out as a game changer in the insurance industry, if I understand correctly.
Yes, insurance is a huge market. There's it's about $60 billion in Canada, 600 billion in the United States. It's a huge market with a lot of different products of offering. Where we decided to innovate was really on the home segment, and really targeting one key part of the market, and be able to really optimize and offer the best experience. And as we grow, we definitely want to be offering other products to our customers as we grow, but we had to focus on one key product, which was tenants insurance when we started. And then as we saw an opportunity, we actually recently did the soft launch of a new product, which is the same technology behind the home insurance for tenants, but focused on condo owners. Mm-hmm. So that's a very key product that was, we were getting a lot of users asking us about that product. It took us some R&D definitely, and a lot of market research to launch it, but it's now live on our website. So if there's any condo owners that are looking for a pretty seamless online shopping experience, I would invite you to check us out, and also to let us know feedback, as we're just launching. This is a new product, and there's definitely a lot of stuff that we can improve. So we're very open to feedback at this point, as we just soft launch.
Okay, perfect, noted. And just out of curiosity, what would be the breakdown, in the case you can share that with us, for homeowners versus condo owners?
So sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, what would be the breakdown, like in percentage, homeowners versus condo owners?
Yeah, so I'll take I have the numbers. So in Quebec, there's about 1.3 million tenants. So people who pay rent. There's about 400,000 condo owners, and there's about 1.6 million homeowners. So that are not part of that are not tenants or condo owners. So that's really the breakdown for Quebec, and the numbers for Canada are about 45x that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting information. Thank you for sharing that with us. For our attendees, we would like to ask you one more question. So it's in regards, what kind of insurance you are most likely to purchase? You have the poll right now. Thank you for taking the time to fill that in. And Xavier, back to you. So over the years, how do you feel the insurance product changed, and especially the offering? How did they change?
It's been if we look at over the last let's look a lot about the last let's break it down into let's take a look about the last 30 years. So there's been at one point the main the only way to get insurance was pretty much through a broker, and that's what really when in the 90s, for example, that was one of the main ways, one of the only ways actually to get an insurance product. So you have to go through a licensed brokerage firm, and you had to talk to a broker. Sometimes it was someone that was in your network, or someone that you know. It was a lot of word of mouth. And as it had evolved over at the beginning of the year 2000s, was the capacity to transact over the phone that began to take a bigger place, where people were able to talk with a broker or an agent over the phone and conclude the transaction. And what we're seeing right now, so the year 2000 and definitely the new decade, is a lot of the companies have a bit of a hybrid approach, where there's no more meeting in person, or very few meetings in person to buy insurance. It's mainly over the phone or online. But what we're seeing that's very interesting is that a lot of insurance companies, big insurance companies, have the process online. About 80% of the process is online, and then you actually need to speak on the phone to be able, with an agent, with a licensed agent or broker, in order to buy the product, which is a big pain point too, because people are under the impression that they're able to buy directly on the product directly online, and then at the end, after sharing all their information, in order to purchase, they have to get over on the phone with someone and answer some more questions, and it's
the process all over again.
Pretty much, exactly. And that's really where we wanted to innovate, in the sense that people who complete an application with Allset have the possibility to talk to someone if they have specific questions, but it's not something that's mandatory to go through the purchase. And we have that approach where we're there if our users need us, but if they don't want to talk to us, we're also able to process and go through the complete purchase experience without that. So really putting the customer first. And a second thing that we saw a little bit, that's I think is going to be more in the year in the next decade of evolution, is actually a way the program that we've built. Our technology allows us to communicate with our customers via text messages, email, or phone. And that's an approach that's very customer centric, in the sense that some people prefer to communicate with someone from our team via text, some prefer via email, some prefer over the phone. So giving that opportunity for the customer to choose whatever works better for them, instead of traditionally imposing or having a specific phone call with an agent that's mandatory to purchase a product. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really where we'll see things evolve.
Okay, it's really interesting to see how fintech changed the whole way of doing business in the insurance environment. We noticed that many companies insurance companies have been slow in integrating technology into their way of doing business. Why do you think that happened, or didn't happen?
It's much easier to start from scratch than moving a whole company that has been having ways of working that have been successful in the past years, and a lot of these insurance companies are still very dependent on call centers and call center systems. and the whole buying experience is around that. And for I think for them, that's one thing that's a challenge, to move away from that model. And the second challenge is a lot of data. There's a lot of data points and a lot of data you collect on your users, and a lot of data that you have to analyze in order to recommend the right coverage, to be able to find a price that makes sense with the risk you're taking by onboarding a new customer. And there's a lot of too much data is really hard for big companies to handle. So they're going, and it's also a lot of data is siloed and not I think the problem with big insurance companies is having too much data to know where to start, or to be able to move at the large move fast with such great amounts of data.
Because this actually, like the way the conversation is flowing, it brings to the other question that I had for you. Like, I wanted to talk about data usage, and if in your opinion big insurance companies are making the best of our data. But I think you touched this point here.
So the answer is they're getting better. Like, definitely, like, there's a lot of progress. There's a lot of progress, but it takes time. And the advantage, I would say, for us with Allset is starting from scratch, having a way to analyze and manage our the data from a very customer-centric point of view, versus having it siloed by product. I think is going to make it much easier for us to leverage that over the long term. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for these clarifications. Now back to our attendees. We discussed about the process of buying insurance, and wanted to know on your end, guys, our attendees, what's your overall experience when you are trying to buy the insurance? You'll be able to answer. And Xavier, back to you right now. Right now, during the pandemic, like, hard times for everyone, we'll just briefly touch this subject. With COVID-19, how do you feel that the consumer behavior has changed when it comes to buying the insurance package?
I would tell you that there's, and I'll really bring it down to what we've been seeing with Allset, because that's the most I think that's the most relevant information I can share. What we've seen is a lot of on our side, when you have a product like tenant insurance that's not mandatory to have, very important to have but not mandatory. A lot of people in time of crisis will be trying to find ways to save money and cut their expenses, and a thing that it's not mandatory to have will be one of the first things that they might think about letting go. That's a bit, I would say, for us, the threat right now. What's the opportunity is by launching condo insurance and going more into the homeowners space. We're it's a market where people have to get insurance whenever they have a mortgage or they're exactly, it's mandatory. And in the time of crisis, people are going to be looking for ways to save money with their insurance. And as we're able to work with different insurance companies and be competitive over the price we have for our consumers, I think that's really where we have a big opportunity to go. So helping people move from their current insurer and coming on board with Allset, rather than focusing on a market where insurance is not mandatory. So that's a way for us, a way that we're adapting internally to the current situation. Yeah.
And assuming that made also the landscape more competitive.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of people are getting from behavioral component of humans right now. A lot of people are looking at ways, are looking at technology in ways that were not. Technology is taking a place in their life that was not before, and they're becoming more a lot more of adopters are coming to technology solution, because they're realizing that they can access products and services in a different way that's more that doesn't have to transact through a human, for example, or have to go through older technologies. And I think for us, that's also the big opportunity, is having being a digital solution, being a new player. A lot of people don't necessarily know us, and they maybe had other ways of buying insurance before, but seeing that they're working from home, using Zoom, for example, to do a conference, which I think if I didn't have this situation going on, we'd probably be doing a live event. And people are really, exactly. So people are ways of dealing with technology and interacting are changing. I think for us, it's definitely an opportunity in the short term and long term as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Xavier, for that. Now, the other question I had for you, like, what should current and future homeowners know in regards to the insurance market?
What should
give us the inside scoops?
You should always, I think one thing is like when you're coming, and it's more like people that are currently insurance, that currently own insurance, home insurance, is upon renewal, just doing a quick check to see if the price, if the coverage and price you have are in line with your needs and are competitive. And what I mean by that is a lot of time your situation will evolve over time, and you won't really take the time to look at if you're getting, sometimes you might have too many protections and paying for stuff you don't really need, or other times your premium might have been increasing over the last few years, and it's a time to just look around and see if there's other options. And I think for those types of customers, digital solutions are great because it takes a few minutes and you're able to really see if what you have right now is competitive or not. So I would advise it upon renewal just to take a quick look and see what's out there and see if you can find something better. And find a way to save. That's the best way to save money, I think, with insurance, and just being year over year, just taking a look at what's out there and trying to be to make sure you're not overspending or overprotected for things you don't need.
Mm-hmm. Okay, noted. Thank you so much for this piece of advice. Now, looking at the industry, insurtech industry in general, other than Seths, what are other big players in insurtech that we should be looking out for?
Yeah, for sure. I'll talk a little bit more. It's really more on the distribution side that I'll touch about. But if we just take a big picture of insurance, there's the life and health segment, and then there's the property and casualty segment. So I'll jump in with life and health. I think there's a bunch of great companies that have emerged over the last few years. There's there's three companies I have in mind. One is actually a company that was involved, I think, with FinTech Cadence with the latest cohort, which is Emma, which is
our friends at Emma.
Yeah, exactly. So Emma.ca so life insurance, being able to get to buy life insurance online from with all the transparency that you deserve as a customer, I think is a really it's really appealing. What we see too, and that's really more B2C, so directly dealing with consumers. And I think what we see that's also interesting is companies like on the life and health side, like Fineo, who's helping agents, life insurance agents, being able to better service their customers. So through a digital platform that they've built. So the guys at Fineo or other players like Breathe Life, who are helping insurance companies better sell their product through technology. And I think it's really interesting because we see different players that are adding value within different segments of the market that are within the same subsegment of market, but helping different players move along. And I think that's super interesting to look within the more life and health side. And on the PNC side, so property and casualty, one other player outside of Allstate I think is super interesting that people should check out is Zensurance, which offers commercial insurance online, very similar to Allstate, but more for startups and SMEs and more on the business side, whereas we're really more focused on consumers. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Xavier, for this very insightful conversation. Time came for us to open the floor for Q&A. So for our attendees, those that have a question, please do not hesitate to let us know. Okay, so I do see a question here from Valerie. What elements of technology have been used of the modernization of insurance offering? Thank you, Valerie, for your question.
I can give you an example. I'll try to be as concrete as possible. One thing that we're able to use internally that I think benefits our consumers is, for example, in order to in order to buy home insurance, there's a lot of information that you need on the building. So as a tenant, when you're buying tenant insurance, for example, a question that's being asked that's really tough to answer is the construction year of the building you live in, which is really tough for a tenant to know because most of the tenants are not required, wouldn't want, like that's not something that they ask when they're, or rarely ask when they're about to sign a lease and move into a new place. So what we did with Allset, and thanks to our engineering team, we were able to actually pre-populate those fields by connecting to public data sets. So that data was available out there. And for example, we connect to City of Montreal's data for the pre-populating the years, the construction year of your building, and the number of units in your building, which are two questions that were the toughest ones to answer. So I think the usage of data, whether it's public data sets or private data sets, the moment you're using data in a smart way so that you can save time for your user and decrease the error rate that you would be getting, I think that's something really cool that we're seeing more and more within InsurTech.
Okay, interesting. Thank you, Xavier. We have one more question that was asked by Mark Phillips. His question is, how are you different from Kinetics and Insurance Hotline?
Yeah, for sure. So those there's a Kinetics, Insurance Hotline, Lowest Rates, Rate Hub, ClickAssure. There's a bunch of different players in this space, which is lead generation. And just to explain a little bit the different differentiator is that Kinetics or Insurance Hotline is helping you, compare different rates, but they're not selling you the insurance directly. So once they show you, for example, that TD insurance has the best rate for you, but then they sell your information to TD, and you have to contact someone at TD to validate all of the information over the phone in order to purchase with them. And usually because some questions were not necessarily asked the right way and they were not able to capture all of the questions that all of the insurance companies need in order to sell their products, there's a price variation once comes the time to purchase. So that's what we saw that, I mean, they're great tools to quickly see what's out there in the market, but in order to completely buy the insurance, we're far away from that. And the advantage with Allset is really once we match you with the best insurance company that we found, out of the 10 we work with, you're able to simply connect with your bank, and we are able to issue the policy right away, which saves you a lot of time. And so you're getting really the best of both worlds by being able to compare a little bit similar to those online comparison tools, lead generators, but we have the ability to sell you the insurance products that we recommend.
Okay, good to know. Thank you so much, Xavier, for that. We do have one more question from Colin.
Yeah.
Colin Gaffney. How does your strategy address insurance companies that might offer lower rates than a more exclusive intermediary relationship?
Yeah, actually, we're leveraging that by being able to match those insurance companies, for example, that offer lowest rates to a specific customer segment. We're actually enablers of that. So we don't see that necessarily as threat, but more of as something that benefits our users, because by asking relevant questions and knowing what different insurance companies value, because a lot of different insurance companies have different standards from their models, or what types of customers they're looking for, and what types of homes or buildings they want to insure based on the portfolio they already have. We're able to leverage that and really help. That's helping us tremendously with the matchmaking, of knowing that If you have a bachelor's degree, for example, and you're working full-time, then there's insurer X that might be good for you. If you're a student, then there's insurer Y that has better rates for students, and being really able to take care of that for users without having them to discover this on their own, which would take a lot of time.
Okay, very interesting. And for our attendees, like if you have one more question, then we'll take it. And if not, we'll move forward. Questions. Okay, I don't see any, so I guess it's safe that we move along. So first of all, a big thank you to all of you for participating in the discussion today. We have 3 more webinars in May as a part of our university series. You can see the titles on the screen. You are invited to join us again in the upcoming weeks. And if you like the webinar today, feel free to pass along this information to a network so they could join the conversation as well. I will do a reminder that that Canada's biggest FinTech competition starts on May 28th. And thanks, Pascal, for including the formaton link into the chat so the group could refer to. Now, a piece of surprise for you guys. So it's 4:45 now, and in only 15 minutes starts the grand finale of National Bank's innovation competition. And what that is that several very motivated startups will compete to win $100,000 to keep on developing their business idea. If this motivates you, we invite you to join. It's free, and you can easily register by accessing the link in the chat. So thanks, Pascal and Neil, for adding that link into the chat. I will go quickly back to our chat to see if anybody else has one last question. And if no, I don't see any. Okay. And on this note, I will end today's webinar. Thanks again to all of you for joining. And of course, a special thanks for our guest speaker, Xavier Freeman. Thank you again, Xavier. And Neil and Pascal on the back end, a million thanks to you guys for the support and for making this webinar go seamless. You guys did a phenomenal job. And to all of our attendees, see you all next week again at 4 p.m. So next Thursday, see you again, guys. Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys. Cheers.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.